Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. My ex said I'm dripping. The money made me different. See, what the new boys understood and what I've come to understand is that when you acquire money or when you reach a level of success, it does one of two things to you. One, you're either like immediately, energized by reaching finally that level of success, and you're, immediately directed towards doing that. You want to become inspirationally more and more successful. You're inspired to become more and more successful. Or two, success and money kind of makes you love the success and money, not continue to love what brought that success and money, right? I think those are only really two things that happen. We either work harder to get richer, to get more successful, or we allow our successes and our riches to kind of let us, rest on our laurels, if you will. So when I start hearing NFL reports about Jalen Carter in training camp and he's out there balling out, I can't help but think maybe this is an individual that received some corrective action from his mistakes early on in the year. This talent, right, the talent of Jalen Carter has never been in question, not once. Not even when he was a high school football player at Opopka High School. He was immediately drawing comparisons to Warren Sapp, the only other NFL football player of note from Opopka High School. So the talent was never the question. It was always a talent of whether or not the consistency was going to match the talent, right? If the consistency was going to match the ceiling of the prospect, and that's what it is. So when you combine that with the fact that, hey, this dude is now on a roster that is absolutely loaded in Philadelphia, I think you have a deadly combo for a first-year player in Jalen Carter. He's going to have more freedom than he's probably ever had in the last 2 or 3 years of college football. I think sometimes it could be misconstrued a little bit that during that 2021 season, this was a football player that, got to play freely because he was next to Devontae Wyatt or he was next to Jordan Davis. And I'm here to tell you, when I watched him on tape, even in that 2021 season, he was drawing a ton of attention, ton of double teams, a ton of attention in general from the opposition. And in 2022, that attention got even worse, right? He got double teamed over and over and over again. And now on this Philadelphia roster, you're looking at a football team that has plenty of depth and plenty of other options to help take away from the attention that's going to be on Jalen Carter. A little side note here for you. If I have problems blocking a defensive end, I have to take my running back and I have to chip him, right? I have to take an offensive lineman and add a running back to the equation. If I have to double team or draw extra attention for a defensive tackle, I have to dedicate 2 offensive linemen to that football player, right? So the value and the impact of a dynamic 3 technique is that much greater than everybody else. The other side note I have for you, or particularly defensive ends, the other side note I have for you is some people, I think George Pickens falls into this category. Some people are better professionals than they ever will be college football players. Jalen Carter falls under that category to me. He doesn't have to worry about class. He doesn't have to worry about getting up for weights. He doesn't have to worry about team meetings. He doesn't have to worry about anything other than maximizing his potential on the football field. That's it. It's the only concern that he has. All he has to do is play football, lift weights, eat right, and stay out of trouble the rest of his career, and his ceiling will ultimately be reached. I've always struggled, to be honest with you, for a comparison for Jalen Carter. I don't think he's Aaron Donald. There was a lot of that coming out. I don't think he's as twitchy as Aaron Donald. I think he's a little bit, I know this is going to sound crazy, I think he's stronger than Aaron Donald. I don't think he's as fluid of an athlete as Aaron Donald. I think he could be Ndamukong Suh. He didn't have the college career that Suh had, but he could certainly have the professional career that Ndamukong Suh had, just an immensely powerful 3 technique. I also think, there's a blueprint for this, right? Jeffrey Simmons, if you guys remember, he had real bona fide troublesome issues when he came out of Mississippi State and was a first-round draft pick, right? Some domestic things, if I remember correctly. That necessarily wasn't the case with Jalen, but there was some clouds overhanging with him. Jeffrey Simmons is an $80 million man right now, an $80 million contract, and he will continue to be such the rest of the time. I think Jalen Carter stacks up as that as well. Glad to have you guys in here. We got a loaded show for you guys tonight. Looks like there's some minor audio issues. Hey, quick tip here. Don't mess with that. There's a volume button over on Streamlabs. Just turn it up. There's a slider over there. If you turn the slider up, it'll turn everybody's volume up. Okay?
It looks to be at the max level.
Okay. So did I just forget to turn my damn microphone on? Surely that's not.
I mean,
I've got bars over here.
You've got half people saying they can hear it just fine, and others are. So.
All right. Well, I don't really know what's going on there other than we got perfectly good audio on the YouTube link I got in here. So
they're saying our mics are fine, but it's yours, I guess.
Okay, turn me up just a little bit over there on the board then, I guess. All right, so you guys are loud, so turn you down just a little bit. Here's the problem, guys. We got 3 different mics. Those 2 are Shure's. This one's obviously loud, so I can get up and walk around. So you got to play with us just a little bit. Last night we were on StreamYard. Tonight we're on Streamlabs. We're trying to get everything, all the kinks worked out of this. There is no dry run for streaming, guys. We turn the cameras on, and we try to figure it out as we go, particularly with new studios. I can't tell you how many times in the old studio we had to fix things, correct things, go back, change things, all that good stuff. So just know that we're trying, we're working on it, and we're getting after it over here. So appreciate you guys in the comments letting us know. I asked you to do that before the show started, but I hope the imaging is much clearer tonight than it has been in nights past here on the stream. So it sounds like everything's good over there. Welcome in. Like I said, we got a loaded show for you guys tonight. We're going to talk some dudes. On this program, we talk dudes. That's what we do. So we're going to talk some dudes tonight, give you some, specifically the dudes that are most dude-like. All right, we're going to talk about some NFL love that we've already heard trickling in the city of Athens already with fall camp starting and in mid-swing right now. Got a little buy, sell, and hold that the boys are going to take care of tonight here. We love buy, sell, and hold around this program. It's revolutionized content here on this channel. I don't think anybody's ever done buy, sell, or hold before, but we're going to do it tonight in a very unique way. I'm going to debut a new segment called Worry About It Wednesday. We'll explain it a little bit later, but there are some things to worry about despite the fact that you are a 2-time defending national champion and the favorite to win a 3rd one. And I swear, I promise to you, for the 3rd night in a row, we're going to talk dogs in the NFL. All right, I know we open with Jalen Carter, but we got some very specific football players to talk about tonight in the NFL. But first, I want to ask you to like, subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, all that good stuff over on YouTube. Hey, if you like what you're seeing, if you like all the swings that we're taking, all the additional content that you're getting this season, make sure you're showing your support by hitting that subscribe button. After you subscribe to the channel, after you hit the alerts button, after you do all that stuff, after you leave a comment on this video, make sure you run it over to PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. Today you'll get a 100% deposit match, meaning put $50 in, they'll give you a free 50 right on the spot. You put a hundo in, guess what? They give you a hundo right on the spot. Hey, we got 2 locks on the board already, Jonathan. I need a 3rd. I need a 3rd right meow from you, and if I remember correctly, it's a big one today.
Oh yeah, I got 5 pieces to this to these locks that I got. First 2 I took Caleb Williams, Brock Bowers. Those 2 were the obvious ones to take. I also took Quinn Ewers over 2,850 passing yards. On top of that, Frank Gore Jr. out of Southern Miss, over 1,000 rushing yards. Last year, he was a freaking monster. They fed him the rock last year. I'm expecting them to do the same this year. I'm expecting a big year for him. Marvin Harrison also over 1,050 receiving yards for him. He's the focal point of that Ohio State offense. If he doesn't get over 1,050 receiving yards this year, I don't know who else could. So those are my locks for this year.
So we got Caleb Williams, 3,600, Brock Bowers, 7. Caleb Williams and Brock Bowers, the 2 locks that are favorites in all of our season-long locks right here. Quinn Ewers, 2,850. I like that, assuming he stays healthy and stays the one. Malik Murphy, the one sneaking in, possibly the 2 there if Quinn Ewers doesn't play well this year. Frank Gore Jr., hey, his daddy getting to 1,000 yards today at 45 years old. So I like the idea of taking Junior. And then, of course, taking another junior right there in MHJ at 1,050. Wasn't he a 1,200-yard receiver last year?
Yeah.
So, yeah, 1,050s. Basically, a lot of these prize picks over-unders, guys, you're basically trying to figure out whether or not the guy's going to get hurt for multiple games. And that's essentially what MHJ is. We'll put it on the board right there. We got a little while before those are set to come due. Appreciate you guys for being here tonight, man. It's a great one. Again, we are going to work on the rest of this stuff. I see some folks still complaining about volume being an issue.
Did you change the decibels on your log?
I did not. I haven't touched anything with the lab. The only thing I can think of is that we turned you guys up too much and we turned me down too much. Maybe put the volume switches on the same. I don't know what you've been messing with over there since. But their complaint is that I'm too quiet and you're too loud, so let's turn you down because we can't turn me up anymore. At home, if you can't hear me, turn it up. We're going to try to turn them down because I'm probably the one that's going to be talking the most tonight. Again, guys, it's touch and go. It's going to be a learning process until we get it down. And then once we get it down, you'll never have to worry about anything ever again. We'll handle it for you guys. Hey, there is some NFL buzz going around this program right now. NFL scouts, I think I saw 7 or 8 NFL scouts at practice the other day when we had an ability to go through and watch practice availability. And this is the time. This is the time where, they're watching guys practice for real. When they come watch practice during the season, they're only getting, in-season practice. It's not fall camp practice. It's not good on good. It's not 11 on 11. It's not tackle down to the ground. So with that being said, as NFL evaluators, I want to watch guys go out there and compete against the best of the best, and now's the time to do that. So you're going to see a bunch of NFL scouts come through and have opinions, and we figured we'd formulate some opinions here. I want to go around the room one by one here, and I want you guys to tell me who you think the highest-rated NFL draft prospect is on the roster. I'll start, and it's an offensive lineman, and I think, to me, he might be the freakiest offensive lineman we've ever evaluated on this network, even though Broderick Jones held that title forever. But Amarius Mims has been a very, very scary individual for a long, long time. And guys, some of the stuff that is coming out of camp this fall about this human being just don't make sense. He measured in. They like to measure guys in as soon as they get back to camp, as soon as they start to enroll or start up fall camp. They like to get good measurements on guys, right? Heights, weights, for body fat percentages, arm length, all that good stuff. Listen to these measurables from Amarius Mims from this camp. Verified 6'8" and 1/16 of an inch, 330 pounds with 17% body fat. All I was told today when asking about Amarius and asking about his NFL draft possibilities, because when I talk to people, they know how much I do enjoy watching the film. Most of them, it's the only reason they talk to me. But all I was told was just to sit back and enjoy. Just sit back and enjoy what 65 is about to do this season. And my response to that was, if it's anything like the Ohio State tape and the TCU tape, then yeah, you're right. This might be the best offensive tackle prospect we've seen at the University of Georgia in quite some time. And I remember watching Andrew Thomas play right up front and close and personal. I remember calling him OT1. And I remember how strongly I felt about it. This is a guy right here, an absolute guy. What else you guys got? We'll start with you, Jonathan.
I feel like that's crazy to say about Mims because of Broderick Jones. Like, that felt like the pinnacle almost at tackle for an evaluation standpoint, the way that he moves and everything. So to hear those things about Mims, that's pretty crazy. But it seems like there's a couple avenues that you could go with. Brock Bowers, obviously another one that you could rock with. He's going to get a high evaluation there. Maybe Kamari Lassiter, a big season from him. I feel like he could tap into that area, but I feel like it's either going to be Mims or it's going to be Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Bowers is probably the most talented player on the team, but if there's one thing watching The Blind Side taught me, it's that, number one, 45-year-old women can teach homeless men how to play football, and two, the backside offensive tackle.
Hold on. Whoa. I'm over here trying to figure out audio issues. What just slid in?
I said if there's one thing that I've learned from watching The Blind Side, it's one, 45-year-old women can teach homeless men how to play football.
Yeah.
And two, the backside tackle is the second most valuable position in football, and that's where Mims is probably going to get drafted at. So that's what makes him the most draft-worthy player.
Sandy B's just like that. She's just like that.
Sandra Bullock is like that. Miss Congeniality, great movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Is that your favorite Sandra Bullock movie?
I mean, probably. What options do we have? The Proposal? Was Ryan Reynolds?
I'm going to be honest. I really don't know many Sandra Bullock movies. I know I did watch one recently that was pretty bad, to be honest.
I feel like I've watched 100 Sandra Bullock movies and probably named 5 off the top of my head right now. That's it.
I feel like I'm sitting here watching the stream while talking on the stream, and everything on my stream sounds perfectly fine. Everything on my YouTube sounds perfectly fine. So I don't know what's going on. for those of you who are having problems.
I mean, audio levels over here are reading good, so.
Yeah. We're going to keep rolling, guys. I'm sorry for those of you who are having some issues. We're going to figure it out.
Is it on mono or stereo setting?
No clue. You guys keep working. Do we have a bullet point for both of you guys?
Yeah.
All right, we got it.
Everyone said Amarius Mims, which is kind of – I figured people would say Brock Bowers, but –
So when scouts come through, they don't just do it on draft class, right? They're not just telling guys, hey, that's your highest drafted football player, you know, in this class, that's your one in the next class. No, they're evaluating all, you know, 105, 108, what is it? It's 85 scholarship players. They're evaluating every player out there, age be damned. So when I proposed this question to people talking and inside the building at the University of Georgia, the first two answers were Michael Williams and Malachi Starks of like, hey, classes don't matter. These two guys could have an opportunity to be top 5 picks. I mean, Michael is going to have far more statistical production than a guy like Trayvon Walker, and he's going to test and measure eerily similar. I don't know if he'll run as well as Trayvon did, but the film, the testing, and the measurements and all that stuff will match up with a one first round, number 1 overall draft pick type of selection. And as far as Malachi Starks goes, you know what the number one name I hear all the time when people talk about Malachi Starks that are smart and they know football? Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's what a lot of NFL guys, they think there's even maybe a potential for some Derwin James in there, but they think, NFL people think Malachi Starks, and this is no news to Georgia fans. You watched his freshman year. But NFL evaluators think Malachi Starks has an opportunity to be an NFL, like a bona fide Pro Bowler. Thoughts on those two guys?
When was the last time a safety was taken top 5 in the draft?
Top 5? Oh, my.
Yeah.
Has it ever happened?
I don't know if it's ever happened. We've had first-round picks, but what do you got, J-Will?
I don't know. Like, Minkah Fitzpatrick is really the only one in recent memory that I can think of reaching into that type of level. So, I mean, that's a tough one. I would like to know that. You know what? Maybe I should go ahead and just research that. The highest drafted safety to ever come into the draft. I want to know that.
So, yeah, then after that, Michael Williams, if he has even a 10-sack season, that would be huge. He would be a first-round pick easily. Probably the first edge rusher taken off the board.
All right, we absolutely maxed these puppies up. So if we're not getting audio now, boys and girls, I don't know what in the hell to tell you. All right, so we have completely maxed these things out. I don't know what you just Googled, but we don't have quite time to read that.
Oh, no. So do you have a guess for who it is? There has been one drafted in the top 5.
Top 5? When was it?
Late 1990s.
All right. Who was it?
What was the question?
It was one safety has ever been drafted top 5.
So it was in the 90s?
Yeah. I think it said 90s.
Troy Polamalu?
No.
Who is it?
Sean Taylor.
Oh, dang.
Come on, man.
That was early 2000s,
All right,
but yeah, definitely should have known that. I think we have fixed the audio issues. So how about them apples? Make sure you call all your friends, tell them to come back. Rush on back. We got things figured out, and hopefully they'll be figured out for good. All right, so, highest rated NFL type of draft prospect right now. You're looking at Amarius Mims, Michael Williams, Malachi Starks. Now, here was the one in this conversation with sources last night that was like, damn, Brooks, you missed. You missed really, really bad because that football player, I don't know, that football player doesn't pop off the tape like that to me, and that is Nazir Stackhouse. Now, I've known Nas for a while. I covered Nas when he was at, high school over in DeKalb County, Columbia. He's from Columbia High School over there in DeKalb County. And I remember going and interviewing him, and it was like a 12-year-old trapped in a 6'5", 310 pounds body at 17 years old. He was very, very young. He was very naive to the world. He's very energetic about the opportunities that this world might present to him. And then you see him starting to get playing time at Georgia. Guys, Nazir Stackhouse's first career sack, he had no idea he hit the quarterback. If you go back and look at it, it was against UAB a couple years ago. Maybe it was Sanford. He hits the quarterback. Quarterback falls down, And teammates are hitting stack before he even realizes he has a sack. And there's like a delayed celebration for him. What I'm trying to tell you is Nazir Stackhouse took a while to let the game kind of like slow down for him to where he wasn't thinking that much, and he had opportunity to play and become a football player. And that's what he's been over the last 2 years. You know, spot rolling in 2022 or 2021, and then really starting as an every down player at nose tackle in 2022. Georgia thinks this kid has an opportunity to be a first-round draft pick. And that, to me, is something that I never projected for Nazir Stackhouse. And it makes sense. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I have watched him over the years be an emphatic energy player. He plays with higher levels of motor than 99.9% of nose tackles. In fact, the word motor never gets brought up for nose tackles. Do you ever think of a nose tackle where you're like, damn, that guy plays hard every down?
No.
I mean, other than Aaron Donald, but I don't even know if you had that.
He's a 3-tech.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you had that eval on him when he was in college.
No. I don't know of a 330-pounder that plays as hard and as consistent as Nazir Stackhouse, and that's valuable, okay? That will be valuable. It will be coveted in the upcoming NFL draft. So kind of a sneaky name right there for guys that are going to be drafted higher than you probably think. Another one, Xavier Truss. Xavier Truss, by the time if he stays healthy this year, by the time Xavier Truss leaves the University of Georgia, he's going to have like 38 starts over some bona fide guys, right? Some bona fide, really, really good college football players and superstars in the recruiting ranks. So for him to have outlasted those guys, the NFL is going to covet him as well. I compared him to a Big Ten offensive lineman. Right? Xavier Truss is going to have a long list of career starts and career accomplishments. He's not going to test really well. He's not going to be a freak athlete, but he's 6'7", he's 330 pounds, he's got 35-inch arms, he's a big human, and he's played a lot of good football. And guess what? Never really been hurt. Okay, I think Xavier Truss got an opportunity to be a third, fourth-round draft pick this year because the NFL needs high-quality guards, and that's damn sure what he is. Now, the other guard, Tate Ratliff, that dude's got an opportunity to be maybe the first guard taken off the board whenever he enters the NFL draft. All right, got a segment, buy, sell, hold. Now, normally I give you something, a topic. I tell you whether or not I'm buying the stock, selling the stock, or holding the stock. Today, we're going to let the boys get involved. Guys, your job today is to throw me a topic. My job is to decide whether or not I'm buying, I'm selling, or I'm holding. Jay Will, we'll start with you.
All right, I'm going to give you this first one. Georgia returns a kickoff/punt for a touchdown for the first time since Mecole Hardman in 2018.
I'm buying, and here's why. No, actually, I'm selling. Here's why. Georgia doesn't give up a ton of points. They don't. So the opposition doesn't have a bunch of opportunities to kick the ball off, right? So is kick return only, not punt return, or is this both?
It's both.
Okay, so not a ton of kick return opportunities. However, I almost want to buy this because I've seen Mekhi Muse return punts, and he has a real opportunity to take one to the door this year. So, I'm going to hold the stock, okay? Because I'm going to stay away from it because I'm a little hesitant to decide and be like, yeah, nah, no way, no shot. This is year. But if there was a year, in my opinion, they have better returners this year than in years past.
It's kind of weird because, you went right from Isaiah McKenzie to Mecole Hardman, and both of those guys can make something happen at any point, and then you kind of hit this lull now. So maybe 2023 is the year that happens. Kirby, you want to hit him with one?
Yeah, so mine is, by the end of October, Brock Vandergriff will have more fourth-quarter pass attempts than Carson Beck.
Run it back one more time.
By the end of October, Brock Vandergriff will have more fourth-quarter pass attempts than Carson Beck.
Oh, yeah, I'm buying that. By November, absolutely. There are 7 football games on that schedule where Brock Vandergriff will be getting reps in the third quarter. Hey, reach down, turn both of those knobs up. Turn knob 3 and turn knob 4 up just a little bit. They're saying I'm still too low. I really I know it's hard to ask for patience. I really wish people would be more patient. I really do. But who am I to ask for that? I mean, for Christ's sakes, it's our job to get everything fixed. Apparently that fixed everything. All right, now welcome in. Good thing we still got 90 minutes worth of content tonight to make you guys happy. So hopefully we can do that. At least we're not getting crotch shots on commitments we had exclusives for. That's 2 shots at those guys this week, man. That's on me.
3 shots.
Yeah, dude, that's on me. That's on me. That's on me. Yellow journalism. Where were we at? Oh,
Rock
buy,
Van-
sell, hold. I'm buying that. More attempts in the fourth quarter than Carson, because I don't think Carson throws a ball in the fourth quarter until Ole Miss. What's our next one?
All right. Georgia has their best season from a wide receiver since Malcolm Mitchell in 2015 when he had 865 yards and 6 touchdowns.
One more time.
Georgia has their best season from a wide receiver since Malcolm Mitchell in 2015 when he posted 865 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns.
You know, I'm going to sell this because I think the 1,000-yard receiver, the guy who's going to break it is going to be Bowers. Okay, we've told you on this network, particularly you, Jay Will, with your stats on Bobo's offensive usage. He feeds one guy, all right? And I think that one guy this year is going to be Brock Bowers. And I think what's left from a receiving standpoint will be consumed by like 3 or 4 guys. I think Dylan Bell, Ra Thomas, Dominic Lovett, and especially Ladd McConkey, those guys might all have above like 450 yards receiving this year, and I think they're going to spread the carries.
Ladd McConkey actually came close last year to being the best since Malcolm Mitchell. So,
All right, my second one is Georgia will allow no more than 4 total touchdowns the entire month of September. So that's 5 games they have. Last one will be Auburn.
I was about to say, it's 3 games against non-power 5s.
Yep.
Right? UT Martin, Ball State, and UAB.
And then
Okay, so in those 3 games, let's say they give up a touchdown apiece. So, yeah, I'm going to buy. What was the total points? 4?
So essentially, no more than 4 touchdowns in 5 games.
South Carolina's in the month of September, correct?
Yeah, South
No,
Carolina.
I'm going to go over. I'm selling that because I do think South Carolina scores at least once or twice. Auburn scores at least once or twice. And as good as the defenses have been, they almost always give up at least one late fourth quarter touchdown. Almost always. Some bullshit where a safety's trying to strip a
Happened last year
ball.
against South Carolina.
Yeah, and that was a trick play in the fourth quarter. I think it was a double pass from South Carolina, which is, I mean, at that point, you got to think the coach had the team total over if you're out here throwing trick plays in the fourth quarter, down 60, which is what it felt like. No, I'm buying that. I'm selling that. I think, again, as great as Georgia's defense is, there's not a ton of blanks. You know what I mean? Even though last year I think they started out with a streak, or in 2021 they started out with a streak like this, where they had, I think, allowed 3 total offensive touchdowns through like the first 6 games. It was nuts.
Well, they only allowed 1 in the first 3 games last year because they held Oregon to a field goal, shut out Samford, and then had the one against South Carolina. So, I mean, it's possible.
And then Kent State got him for 3 touchdowns the next week, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I got one more for you. Kamari Lasser and Javon Bullard are both top 40 picks in next year's draft class.
Javon Bullard and who? Sorry, guys, I should be paying attention to you. I'm trying to read the chat because I'm flustered.
Hey, man, it's all good. Kamari Lasser and Javon Bullard, both top 40 picks next year.
I buy. Actually, I'm holding, and here's why. I love Javon Bullard. I do. I think the NFL is going to love him. But I don't know of many first-round draft picks or top 40 picks who are 5'9", 5'10", 5'10 and a half. Whatever he measures in at. I know he's 205, 210. He's a thicker individual. But Chris Smith damn near won the Nagurski Award last year, and he was a 4th-round draft pick. Now, Chris is going to outplay his draft selection, okay? He's going to play for a long time in the NFL. He's not going to play like a 4th, 5th, 6th-round draft pick wherever he was drafted. But you still get dinged for those purposes. And Javon, despite how much of a playmaker he is not going to be a massive safety. Like, if you think about first-round safeties that have been drafted in the last couple of years, you think of guys like Kyle Hamilton. Do you know how big Kyle Hamilton is?
Big. Lewis Seen's another one.
Kyle Hamilton's 6'4", 220 pounds. Okay? Lewis Seen was 6'1", 205 pounds and ran 4.41. Okay, so, and that's another thing. I don't know how fast Javon Bullard is. At an NFL 40 and an NFL combine, I don't know how fast he's going to run. So with that being the case, I'm going to sell that. Even though I do think Kamari Lasser has an opportunity to be a first-round draft pick at corner, just because of the way he's played and continuing to play himself. And corner's a position of premium. Next.
All right, mine is Georgia finally produces a first-round pick at receiver this year.
Who's your guy?
Hey, I'm saying buy, sell. I want to hear what you say first.
You don't even have a guy in mind, though?
I have one, but
All right, I would buy this if Ra Thomas had 100% knowledge of the playbook right now. I put this nug out on Patreon this morning, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. If you want to stay up to date with information on Georgia, fandom, if you will, you need to be over there. Okay, we gave out about 1,400 words worth of practice notes this morning, all in one fine place. All right, so patreon.com/Brooks Austin. And one of the many things that I told them this morning was that Ra-Ra's having a little bit of trouble, and we talked about with Terrence last night, having a little bit of trouble picking up the playbook. All right, but what he has not had a problem with is being a football player. When he is allowed to go out and just play football, and he can play free and he can play fast, he is a top of the draft caliber football player. Georgia's sources, NFL scouts, believe Ra-Ra Thomas is going to play on Sundays at the X receiver position. They think he is a true number one and has the ability to do so. But we got to get mixed in well to this offensive system before we can come out here and say, yeah, you're going to be a first-round draft pick. Is he talented enough to do so? 100%. I'm going to sell that this is the year that it happens for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to sell it too, and I would say Ra-Ra would probably be the guy just because I think the X receiver position is one of the most valued. You don't see a lot of slots. You don't see a lot of Ys go in the first round. So if so, it would be Ra-Ra.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it could get interesting with Dominic Lovett a little bit. I feel like maybe you could get him in there if he does, because he was one of the most electric, one of the most productive wide receivers in the SEC and in the nation last year. The only thing is you kind of got some more dudes over at Georgia. Like you said, Mike Bobo has a propensity to feed the ball to one senior guy. You got Brock Bowers for more years, so maybe.
And he's a slot receiver.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to be drafted that highly unless you're like Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Absolutely. Unless
Unless you've stacked 1,100-yard seasons for 3 straight years. It's really, really hard for me to invest first-round caliber in a guy that I know has to play inside the slot. Hey, good example of buy, sell, and hold, boys, right there. I loved it. You know what? I'm feeling it. Hey, let's give him 3. Attaboy. Worry about it Wednesday. Let's explain this segment. We need to be worried about audio difficulties, apparently. But we're going to worry about it Wednesday. This segment right here. I think I have a propensity to overlook some of your concerns. I had some people in the Menchies this morning saying, stop telling Georgia fans to be upset about missing safeties. They have the right to be upset, even though the guy that you told them wasn't going to play safety and didn't really care, walked, just committed to UCF. That's beside the point. I can't always come on here and tell you that everything is fine. That's not what my job is. My job is to point out some critical issues, some critical areas, and to worry about them, and to let you know that I'm worrying about them, and that they need to get corrected, and that your football program is worrying about them. And these are things you need to worry about. So on Wednesdays, we're going to worry about them. Worry about them Wednesdays, all right? And here is the thing today that I am worried about. I want to preface this with telling you that I love Daijun Edwards. In fact, if you go back right now and watch the film study on this network of Daijun Edwards coming out of high school, you probably would have been like, damn, this dude loves Daijun Edwards, because I did. I thought he was a great addition to the class in 2021. But let's not sit here and act like Daijun Edwards is some true number 1 in college football. Let's not sit here and act like Daijun Edwards is a true number 2 in the NFL football. He's a number 3 in NFL football, and he's a great number 2 in college football right now. I love Cash Jones. I think he's a great story. I think he's got juice. I think he's got an ability to make people miss. But let's not act like Cash Jones didn't walk on to the University of Georgia. Roger Robinson's a great football player. Roger Robinson's going to be a really, really good first down back. But let's not act like he's not 245 pounds right now. Okay? Andrew Paul, fresh off a knee injury. Kendall Milton, hamstring issue. Branson Robinson, fresh off a foot injury. Don't know what. Guys, we're sitting here in August right now. Georgia has the best offensive line that Kirby Smart has ever had. I will stand by that right now. They go 8 deep. 8 deep right now of guys that they can play on Saturdays. They have the best offensive line in the SEC, and I think the only one that's even close is Alabama, but they don't have the depth. Georgia has the best offensive line they've had under Kirby Smart, and I'm telling you right now, they might not be a great running football team. That's something to worry about, boys. Tell me why I am not to be worried.
For one reason, I'll tell you why you shouldn't be worried is because if there was one guy to help with this situation, and it's Mike Bobo. And I'm not talking about his success with running backs. That's not where I'm going with this. In 2010, Mike Bobo did not rely on Caleb King and Rashawn Ely. He relied on his freshman quarterback, Aaron Murray, Tavares King, Chris Durham, and A.J. Green. Aaron Murray threw for over 3,000 passing yards that year. He has been able to shift around what he thinks his team strength is, and that year it was not running backs. Plus, on top of that, I'll drop you this little nug. Of the last 9 national title winners, only 4 of them have had top 30 rushing offenses. 2022 Georgia, 2018 Clemson, 2017 Alabama, 2014 Ohio State.
Yeah, and another thing that you mentioned earlier, you said, Georgia's going to have the best offensive line they've ever had this year. They might also have the best receiver room, and there's a chance Carson Beck could turn in the best quarterback season that Georgia's ever seen. So you've got all this talent around to supplement the running game, even though it might not be – I'm not even going to try to tell you that it has been or it is the worst that you have this year, but this talent around is going to supplement it. And another thing is that the running back position, you don't need an elite running back – in offenses as much anymore. That's why you're seeing it be devalued in the NFL.
Give me an empty board over there and with just the logo up there, and give me Epic Pen. We're going to go over there and talk about something here in a second. Got a little concept of the day I want to show you guys. So basically what we have decided is that the offensive line is good enough. Carson Beck is a good enough processor. Mike Bobo is a good enough offensive coordinator that you don't necessarily need to be worrying about the fact that you don't have a top 3-round pick at the running back position right now. So here's what I'm going to explain to you as the film guy, the football guy. I've been thinking about doing a concept of the day. I'm going to tell you what I would do. If this were my football team, if this were my roster, here's exactly what I do. Let's shut up and let's grind the tape. We're not even going to grind tape. We're going to grind a concept right here. Okay, boys? Here we go. So, So, I just told you. You got one of the best offensive lines in the country, if not the best offensive line in the country. So let's just draw a nice little line for these guys right here. Middle of the field. Those are the offensive linemen, tackle to tackle. All right? Those guys are solid. They're going to be able to hold up all day. They can pass pro, run block, all that good stuff. But we already told you, running back talent, not ideal. All right? But we got great wide receivers. We got a great X in Marcus Rosemi-Jacksaint, Dylan Bell, Ra Thomas. Those guys can get open. They're good football players. Hey, we got a great slot in Dominic Lovett that we got, back from Missouri or had transfer in from Missouri. He can get open no matter what. Oh, by the way, we got a great, Z receiver right here in Ladd McConkey. He has an ability to run double moves. He's great at getting open. So this guy can double move and get open. This guy can kind of take the top off over the defense. This slot receiver can get open really, really quickly, right? So all of these offensive concepts, guys, they're going to be calling what I call run to grass. All right, we're going to run to grass all day long. You know why we can run horizontal concepts at the University of Georgia this year? Because of these guys. These guys can block their ass off. So if the 5 guys can block all day, the receivers can run to grass all day. Oh, and by the way, we've got the best H tight end in all of football right now, not named Travis Kelce. Okay, so this guy, Brock Bowers, while all these dudes are running to grass, guess what this dude's going to be doing? He's going to be running counterintuitive to everything that they do. Georgia will be a horizontally based offense in the passing game this year because they can protect long enough to do it, and they got guys to run to grass to do it, and they got a processor in the quarterback that can handle in that pocket, stay in that pocket, and make good decisions. That's the type of offense that I would run, no doubt about it. I would be totally ticked off if I left this YouTube channel and I missed that shit. I'd be mad. All over some audio issues.
You're feeding us with the good football knowledge. That's what we need right now. Before the season starts, you got to get that fixing somehow. And that right there, that gets you fixed in right there.
I need a fixing. I need a fixing on this audio on the early part of the streams. That's on me, man. I thought we ran tests all day today. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about offensive line being way too damn good to not have great backs back there like Georgia does. Now, here's the deal. Maybe the offensive line is so good, maybe they open holes so big that it don't matter. I'm not saying Georgia's got slappies back there playing running back, but they don't have a Kenny McIntosh. They don't have a DeAndre Swift. They don't have, they dang sure don't have a Sony Michel or a Nick Chubb or a Todd Gurley or anything like that back there at the running back position right now. And I thought you made a great point in pre-show. What did they do this offseason at the running back position?
They not only brought back walk-on Savon Clark, but they also went out and got Lenith Whitehead from Tennessee, who is also a walk-on, which kind of screams something shady going on right there. We're not exactly sure what we have.
Shady's not the word. Desperation was the word I used this spring. It's like, why? Ooh. You know, Kirby's talked about we only use the transfer portal to fill holes, and you're out here filling holes with walk-ons from Tennessee. and it's a depth thing. I mean, in the spring, they barely had running backs to practice, and it's something that I'm concerned about. It's definitely something to worry about here on a Wednesday. Hope you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We got a couple more segments here before we wrap up the local hour and head on over to the national hour. Hey, that boy George Pickens. George Pickens having a good little fall camp, ain't he?
Oh, yeah.
Ain't he, Kirby? Made some news on social media. Doesn't know that there's only 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore, but that's okay. He thinks there's 5. He had a Mount Rushmore of Georgia football players.
You want me to just go ahead and read it to you?
Yeah, just read it to me, man.
So he's got Matthew Stafford as the quarterback, A.J. Green as the wide receiver, Nick Chubb and Noshawn Marino, and then Thomas Davis is just thrown in there for some reason.
That's what stood out to me like a sore thumb. First of all, George Pickens is from Hoover, Alabama. He's from Birmingham, Alabama. He graduated in 2020. Graduated high school in 2020. What in the hell does 2019?
Yeah.
What in the hell does that dude know about Thomas Davis? What? How can he know anything about Thomas Davis?
My only thing that I can think about is maybe he was just around the program a lot while he was there.
Or he was a Panthers fan. Because, I mean, Thomas Davis was big around that time on the Panthers. Then you kind of say, oh, he went. I mean, I've been watching Georgia my whole life, and I don't recall watching Thomas Davis. So.
I'm pretty sure Thomas Davis's introduction to 99.9% of the world was when he played the Super Bowl with that nasty-ass broken
like he had
arm.
a football as an arm.
Yeah, he had his stitching down his arms was so gnarly. Google that when you get an opportunity because it is some of the gnarliest shit you'll ever see from a football injury perspective and to have played through it. So, yeah, dude, the Thomas Davis pick made no sense to me. I don't know what's worse on the list, thinking that there are 5 presidents on Mount Rushmore or leaving out Champ Bailey and Herschel Walker on your Mount Rushmore of Georgia football players.
Yeah, not having Herschel Walker on that list is, I mean, when you think of Georgia, you either think of like 2 people. You might think of Vince Dooley, you might think of Herschel Walker, and maybe you think of Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, that area. So to not have him on there, and Thomas Davis, like, I don't know.
To give him devil's advocate, I guess you could say, players he grew up watching.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, Thomas Davis is obviously the outlier there. Maybe he just heard the legend about it. Someone around him was hyping him up. Have you seen his NFL top 5 wide receivers?
Is this of all time or is this current?
He said top 5 wide receiver all time, according to George Pickens.
Let's hear it.
Number 5, Michael Crabtree.
NFL?
NFL.
I remember him having
That's so confusing.
one good year with like the 49ers when they made that Super Bowl.
I mean,
run.
Richard Sherman kind of made his name famous.
Keep my name out your mouth.
Yeah.
I have three memories for Michael Crabtree. The Texas Tech catch against Texas, which is college.
If you leave number 3 out, you don't know Michael Crabtree stories. Go ahead.
Him getting his chain snatched.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah, like if you leave, and then Richard Sherman. That's what you get when you put a star receiver like Crabtree on me. Number 4, Julio Jones. So
okay,
respect.
He's
there.
back on track there.
Yeah, 3 Jerry Rice.
All right.
2 Randy Moss. 1 Calvin Johnson.
It's
almost
I'm
like
good with everything but the 5th
He's
one.
just always got to throw one little curveball in there.
it's it's almost like he got 4 and it's just like Michael Crabtree. Because I mean,
Shouts out.
Yeah.
Crabtree made the board. George Pickens is one of the more interesting human beings I've ever covered.
You know who he's starting to remind me of? He's starting to remind me of OBJ in like 2014. Like he had that one big viral moment, and now the NFL and everybody's just doing anything and everything they can to like pull up clips of George Pickens, like making one-handed catches in practice and whatnot. That's kind of who he's reminding of, like becoming this viral sensation that everybody knows.
I'm hearing comparisons to AB, which is, I guess, alarming, just because he's that Pittsburgh receiver that I don't think that's what it is, but that's kind of, he's going to be the next AB. But
Do you remember when he's got a very similar play style? Do y'all remember Plexico Burress?
Yes.
Plexico, and not to shooting himself in the leg.
That's why I remember
I'm talking about when Plexico Burress was out here damn near winning Super Bowls for the Giants because he was so freaking good. Plex never got separation, ever. Never pulled up. No, was not known as a route runner. Was not somebody that pulled away. Was not somebody that created great separation due to his route running. But he's 6'5", he's got long arms, and his catch radius was out of this world. Catch radius and body control. Those are the 2 things I think of when I think of George Pickens. And it's why every single viral photo or video you see of him in the NFL, corners are draped all over his ass. But he is just finding a way to catch the football anyways, because that's what he's always done. He's always been a catch radius and body control type of football player. I'm not against his top 5. I probably would have put Randy Moss over Calvin Johnson personally, but I would imagine if you were a wide receiver that is George Pickens' age, Calvin Johnson is your hero. Calvin Johnson was so damn good.
Megatron. I mean, Megatron's got to be most anyone this age's hero.
Calvin Johnson or Julio Jones.
Yeah. Who would you replace Michael Crabtree with?
I mean, AB had peaks like nobody's business. Antonio Brown had receiving seasons that you've never seen before.
Yeah,
you might not ever see before.
There was always the argument of whether it was AB or Julio Jones for the best receiver in the league. And then they both just kind of flamed out of nowhere. But
I mean, I like Larry Fitzgerald too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about Fitz.
But that's a really, really hard conversation because there's so many great ones now in professional football at the receiver position. Guys like Justin Jefferson are going to be in that conversation within like 3 years.
Already.
Yeah, if not already. So George Pickens, not the only Georgia football player to have a great fall camp. Andrew Thomas has been putting folks on their ass out there at New York Giants training camp, one of which being Kayvon Thibodeau, the number 3 overall draft selection from last class, and a really, really good edge rusher, but Andrew Thomas handling his business. I think you said you had a stat on him?
Yeah, I had a little stat on this one because Andrew Thomas signed that monster contract this past offseason, much well-deserved. But I wanted to kind of look at, because I started thinking about all of the offensive linemen that Georgia has pumped into the NFL. And so when you think about offensive line for college teams, you think about Iowa, you think about Notre Dame, maybe Michigan, maybe even Alabama. Well, take a look at this. Since 2017, Georgia has had a total of 11 offensive linemen taken in the draft, and 4 of them have been first rounds. Iowa has had 3 offensive linemen drafted since then. Michigan has had 9. Notre Dame has had 6. In fact, Georgia has had more offensive linemen drafted over the last 6 years than Notre Dame has had over the last 10 draft classes. How about Alabama? They produce offensive linemen at a high rate as well. Georgia has had more than them since 2017 as well. So Georgia, new offensive line, question mark?
I mean, they put a first rounder in the league almost every year, it feels like. And it's something I said to Murray on the TPL show that we had, and he asked me about the Joe Moore Award. And I said, we can watch Michigan tape right now. I can turn it on, and we could be flabbergasted by the amount of pulling that they do, the amount of trickeration that they do, the uniqueness that their run game scheme is designed with. But the last thing we're going to say is, my God, that left tackle, first-round draft pick. My God, that right tackle, first-round draft pick. He might be the first position player taken. We don't really say that about Michigan. In fact, we say the unit's great, or, man, the offensive coordinator's doing a great job. Blake Corum's really, really good. That's what we say about Michigan. When we watch Georgia offensive line play, that guy's going to play on Sundays. That guy's a first-round draft pick. That dude might go 5th overall. Like, it is every single year they got absolute dudes packing it up on that front line. Do we have anything else, boys?
That was it for me. That was the last
all I got.
All right. We will see you at 8:55 on the next stream. And guess what? Audio is going to be great, so you're not going to have to get anything to complain about. We're going to be ripping it off. We got some great topics, including Bear Alexander talking that mess. All right. We're going to talk about that at the 9 o'clock hour. See you in just